Hey everybody, my name's Kyle Dykes. I'm the pastor here at Gallup Hill Baptist Church. I just wanted to take a moment today really and just give you guys an update as to where we are on the whole COVID-19 virus thing that we're dealing with and really where we're going. So if you don't mind, if you're part of our church, if you're a church member, if you're a church friend, when this is done, share this. Or comment on it, right? There's going to be more of this type of communication coming in the future. So if something's not clear, the audio's not good, the video's not good, please comment on this. Or if you have questions right after you watch this, please let us know. But also, if you don't mind, if you guys see this and you understand this, hit that like button. It's not an ego thing, but just so we know that what we're trying to communicate with you guys is getting out there. It's really, if I'm honest with myself, it's really hard to believe where we are. A month ago, maybe even 2 weeks ago, COVID was very much a thing that was out there. But today it is very much right here, right? Our schools are closed. We are all engaging in what we are now calling social distancing. There's limitations on getting together, right? The CDC says no gatherings greater than 30. Connecticut says no gatherings greater than 50. The U.S. government says none greater than 10. Restaurants are closing, gyms are closing, bars are closing. And really, according to the CDC, we can expect this to continue for at least 8 weeks. And people are worried. They're worried about their jobs. You're worried about your income. You're worried about healthcare. You're worried about getting sick. You're worried about where you're going to find toilet paper, right? Because nothing says respiratory virus like mass consumption of toilet paper. But there are lots of questions that people are wrestling with. One that I'm wrestling with, and maybe you're starting to wrestle with, is how do we be the church? When everything in my lifetime, and probably your lifetime, has been centered around gathering, right? We gather for worship on Sundays. We gather for prayer. We gather for small groups. We gather for Sunday school. We gather for lunch. We gather for basketball. But now, we can't gather anymore, at least physically. What do we do? Right? So what we're trying to figure out, the question that is consuming the time and the resources of myself and leaders in our church is how do we begin to gather digitally? So this week, just so you know, we are looking to live stream our message on Sunday, at least the sermon portion of that. There's some licensing issues around what we can do with music and things like that, so we will probably provide you something along the lines of an order of worship with some links to music, and then some instructions, some scriptures to read, things like that. And then at some point the message will come online, and we will live stream at least the sermon portion of it. So look for communications here online, on Facebook. Look for communications that are coming via email so that you can be ready for that. Whether we do that on Facebook, whether we do that on YouTube, these are some of the things we're still working through. But even looking beyond that, right? If we're doing this for 8 weeks or more, things we're beginning to think about, how do we gather as community groups digitally, right? If we can't come all sit around a table or a living room, how do we sit in our tables in our own homes and gather around our screens and be a community group online? How do we get some resources in your hands for what we're doing now? We're all homeschoolers now, right? Who knew? You're now trying to hold down a job, maybe 2 jobs, and school your kids, right? But there's opportunities there of how do we now build in faith into what we're doing with our kids. So we're looking into how do we get some resources into your hands for that. And then maybe how do we come around and do communion, to gather as a church digitally. So these are all things that are beginning to occupy our time and some of our thoughts here at the church. So keep an eye out in the coming days and weeks. Keep an eye out on the church Facebook page. Keep an eye out on my Facebook page, right? Like them, follow them, whatever you're having to do. Again, not an ego thing. It's a communication thing, right? Keep an eye on the church webpage. You're going to start to see some things change there. Keep an eye on your email. because things are changing rapidly, and we're trying to change rapidly with them. But I want to leave you with a thought, just a verse that I've kind of come back to here over the last few days that I hope encourages you. It's from the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, and the prophet writes, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers they shall not overwhelm you. And when you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you." Right, church, God never promised us that we wouldn't pass through waters. He never promised us that we wouldn't walk through fires. He never promised us that we wouldn't deal with viruses. But he did say that when it happens, I will be with you. And he is with you. And so, church, I encourage you, pray for one another. Pray for our communities, pray for our states, pray for our country, pray for our world. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.